Hi, friends. Hope you're all doing well today. Today, in our final session for this year's Gaming Academy, we have Abdullah with us. Abdullah is working on with Hakawati on a really cute game about kind of like hide and seek with aliens and kids and stuff. You go around an island and stuff. You have to like see where they are and all that. It's actually a very cute game. I tried one of the older ones that he made. It was kind of like a story-based game. It was also very cute. I do recommend that you check it out. But we're here to talk about project management and not Hakawati and Abdullah's games. So Abdullah, if you'd like to go ahead, introduce yourself and tell us a bit about how to manage our projects, the floor is yours.
Great. Thank you so much. And okay, so we'll start with the project management and agile game development. And first of all, actually, I'm very honored to be here today to meet you guys. My name is Abdullah Bamashmus. I'm the founder of Hakawati Studio, the director of technology at Backyard Experiential, and co-founder of Hayak Events. And basically, as you guys, a dreamer who has been in development for a while. And guys, I would like you to feel comfortable whenever you have a question. Please send it to me. I'll try to answer all your questions as soon as possible. Okay, so we will start with kind of an overview about your projects, agendas, and then how to manage your project and how to deliver. So a lot of project does not see the light because of poor project management, and I believe if you have experienced development, you understand that while you're developing, some challenges arise during the development time, and you realize that things have not been planned or resources got into the way of you to finish your project. So the first thing, as a project owner or developer, you need to understand what you are developing and to define it very well in order for you to complete it. There is one of the ways that we use is called Scrum, Agile Development, which is kind of an iterative way of development, and kind of makes you have quick wins in order for you to deliver. Um, is it clear to everyone? Okay. So I hope you guys can hear me. So the game development lifecycle, as I believe you all know it, it starts with a story, an idea, conceptual analysis, game plan, team building, concept design, development, testing, pre-production, main production, and then sales and marketing. In every game, you'll go through all these phases, and you need to be aware of these phases, and you need to be aware of your capabilities. Some of the challenges that we face, as Mario here faced a lot of challenges. Uh, there is the scope management. Sometimes we go into different scopes, and we think that we could do a lot of things, but we need to make sure that these scopes are contained and we know what we are building. It's not just we are building another space station. So we need to understand what you are building. The technical complexity, we need to understand as well, like this is one of the challenge. If it's very complex, then we need to understand what we are building. Resources constraints, so if we are building a game, a triple A game, we need to understand that there is resources, there is financial resources, there is time limitations and others, which is kind of challenging sometimes. And then team collaboration, and one of the challenges that we face, if the team does not know how to work together, so that's a challenge in the game development. Creativity and innovation, what if the game is not very creative or not very innovative? Would people play it? Is this a challenge? As well as the quality assurance. Sometimes we build a game, but we forget about quality assurance and it's super buggy. And as well as platform compatibility. We build a game for PlayStation. We want to port it to phones. It doesn't work, of course, because this one of the challenges that we need to keep in mind when we are planning for the game. Player feedback and iteration. Of course, if we build a full game and then we find that players don't like it. It happens. But yeah, so we take their feedback and iterations and make sure that we are making the game for people to play and have fun. Market and business risk. Of course, there is a risk and we need to manage the risk very well. And then the market and the accommodation, the timing, all these things matter to our game development. For Agile, Scrum. In a nutshell, Agile is just only a way for you to develop your game. In order for you to have the full Agile, I don't want this talk to be kind of informative. If you have question, please feel free to ask me, by the way. So Agile, if you have like a product, as you can see in the illustration here, you would define a product backlog, which means what is this product you're trying to develop, as well as you're gonna define the milestones or the sprints that you are going to have. You're gonna define what is the product that you're going to develop, what are the products. For example, let's say we have a game, a level, a main menu. For example, you could go into different products that could be attached to each other. For example, character builder. And these kind of products or these kind of elements you're going to define. And then you're going to pick one of these and then go into make the sprints. Like, for example, you're going to start, for example, let's say level 1, or let's say the game. We are building the mechanic, the core mechanics for the character. We picked up like kind of the character movement and the character main mechanics. And then we said we're going to develop the main mechanics, the art, the 3D, the game, the character. After picking up one feature or one element in the sprint backlog, we would be developing these features for a week until 4 weeks. We could choose how long each sprint. When we select the sprint from the sprint backlog, we should select the features that fit this amount. We don't go beyond our capabilities. For example, if we are 2 developers or like 1 developer and 1 artist, we should not take more than, let's say, 5 features or 4 features per sprint. When we make it 2 weeks, let's say. We understand our capabilities and we understand about ourselves, and then we make sure that we can deliver within this time limit. It's not just making it very tight for us. It's easy for us to accommodate these features. At the end of every feature, we should test these features. We should have a sprint review, test it with players, and then get feedback from these players and then put it back again to the backlog. Put these features, evaluate these features. If it works, we put it back in the backlog, and then we put it either in the next sprint or following that sprint. So by the book, Agile Scrum is an iterative and incremental project management and development framework. You can do it over and over and over again until you finish and you get the best product. Primarily used for software development, it emphasizes flexibility, adaptability, and customer-centric. As you can see, now we are developing small features or like a couple of features every couple of weeks. So if we understand that these features do not fit, we can just change it. We could delete it, and it's not like other methodologies like waterfall. After you finished everything, then you realize that people don't want this feature. However, in you do review every 2 weeks or 1 week or 4 weeks. So you can do reviews, and if you realize that your clients, your stakeholders don't like the product or don't like these specific features, you can easily change it immediately without frustrating the team. It emphasizes flexibility, adaptability, and customer-centric, enabling teams to respond to changes, to changing requirement, and deliver valuable product more efficiently. Okay. So in every Scrum or Scrum team, you need to have multiple roles. One person could have multiple roles, of course. Of course, the Scrum Master. The Scrum Master is a person who is responsible about the stand-up meeting, and we will discuss this later. Scrum Master needs to follow up in a daily basis with the team and check what is the progress. And then we will discuss this later. The product owner, who is responsible about making sure that this is the product, this is the right product for my my clients or for my players. And then the development team, let's say developers, designers, artists, and whatever team you have. Events. What happened during the Scrum meetings? First of all, the first meeting would be sprint planning. Sprint planning, when we bring a couple of features and then we say we will make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then at the end of the sprint planning we will have a couple of tasks, from development tasks to art task to texturing to whatever task to game design task. All the tasks that we need, it would be defined during the sprint planning. Following that, this would happen at the beginning of every sprint. Following that, there is the daily stand-up meeting. It's a 15-minute meeting. The product, as we mentioned in the previous slide, the product owner, the Scrum Master, and the developers, all of them would talk and say, I am doing 1, 2, and 3, and I have done 1, 2, and 3, and I have faced problems in 1, 2, and 3. So every one of them would follow this format, what they have done, what they will do, and what is the problem. So at the conclusion of the daily stand-up meeting, people would propose to help other people in obstacles, and people would understand what other people are doing. So it just gonna create this kind of collaborative and understanding. So for example, if person A is doing one thing, person B would understand that after person A finish, I could follow up or take this feature and do it. And the Scrum Master would gather them in a daily basis to make sure that they are in the right path. And then there is the sprint review. As you can see, the sprint 2 to 4 weeks, it depends on you and your team. And then the sprint review. After you finish developing this sprint, at the end of the sprint, you would have to have all the features discussed in the sprint planning to be reviewed. And then you and your team would discuss these, as well as you're going to bring external parties, like for example, let's say players of the same age group, a client that might purchase this product, experts from the industry, and you're going to show them the project. You're going to tell them, they're going to discuss with you what is good, tell you this is good, this is bad, I don't like this. And they would give you their feedback, and then you would have a team retrospective meeting with your team, understanding how was everything during this sprint. So this is kind of telling the team the negatives, the positives, and how they do want to improve it. So these are going to continue until you finish the project. Okay. I understand that implementing Agile Scrum sometimes might be challenging for game development. However, it's very good and excellent for game development. And when you're writing the game features, you should write it from a perspective of user stories. And we will discuss later on how to write the game features. However, what I would tell you right now is write it from a user story. For example, I am the user, I am the player. You say, as a main player, let's say as Mario, I can go forward with the right button, for example. So you would write it in a way, an easy format. So this is a task, and you would put it on the backlog, on the to-do list, and then someone would pick it and put it in the doing list, and then they would go forward. As well, game design and backlog refinements. So during the sprints, you would understand what works with your target audience and what doesn't work, and you could do the refinement in the backlog and understand the players. Iterative prototyping, so games games are not waterfall in nature. It's not just a project that you deliver and give it to players, now play. They don't do it that way. Iterative prototyping is just a continuous process of developing the game, because you have a specific type of people that you would like them to learn from you. Frequent playtesting and feedback loops. This is actually beneficial when you get like people are playing your game over and over and over again, and they give you feedback loops. This is just going to be very good for your game. Emphasizing cross-functional collaboration between teams, like artists, developers, when they come together and discuss the features and discuss the capabilities of each one. Artist would propose developing it in an animation, or setting animations in a way, or setting physics instead of doing it in the animation. They would do it in Unity. So these kind of cross-functional collaboration would bring a lot of good results. Sprints and game development milestones. Of course, this is one of the main thing that you need to put in your game. You need to put milestones. Where would you start and where would you end? And when you put milestones and when you put kind of deadlines, you would deliver. If you don't put deadlines, you would just continue developing forever. You're not going to deliver anytime. So say in every sprint, we will have a working product in 10 sprints. Let's say and then define each sprint and how the sprint would come together. You'd find yourself delivering in the 12th sprint, but because you have a deadline and you respect this deadline and the whole team respect this deadline. Flexibility for emergent gameplay, of course, and then balancing creativity with scope management. So you're not just doing creative work and thinking out of the box all the time. You are as well managing the project, and you're not just going beyond the expected work. You're just balancing between these features. So we'll go and dig deep into different aspects, like breaking down the game into features for users. In order for you to write the right task, or how to write it, you could divide the game into smaller, manageable parts. Of course, don't make it hard for people to deliver, and make it very clear task. These parts represent specific gameplay element or interaction. For example, let's take an example of Mario. You don't tell that Mario would just keep jumping, or Mario needs to move forward and then can kill invaders and can hit. Just divide it. When Mario jump and hit an object, something would come out. For example, each object or each box of these can bring different type of element, including one of the types, a tree to the sky. Let's say breakable, not breakable, can bring you coin or other stuff. So you could define these and make it small and easy to digest and develop. When you put it as a feature, I mean, in the backlog. User stories are short description from the player viewpoint. You should make it from the player viewpoint, because like the developer, when they read it, they need to understand, where is Mario? Who's Mario? Should I control Mario or these other creatures? So they follow the format. As a Mario, I want to jump so that I, for example, jump and hit the boxes so that I, for example, whatever, bring the rewards out of it, or interact with this, and then add another feature for each box. So yeah, you could do it as well, like as I think this is mushroom, maybe. It looks like a mushroom. As a mushroom, I want to move around so that I hit Mario, for example, something like this. And then user stories capture a feature essence, purpose, and player benefits. Okay, So the backlog, I've been mentioning backlog. I haven't seen how the backlog look like. So backlog, stories to do in progress, and to verify to the which is done. The backlog is the things that we'd like to develop. Stories are the stories that we'd like to develop. And then to do the sprint, during the sprint planning, we're going to take things from the backlog and we're going to put it in the to-do list. We're going to develop these features, or this feature can expand to these stories, and then these stories, we're going to develop it in the to-do list. We're going to put them in the to-do list. A practice that I like to take, all development, I make them with blue sticky notes. The art, the 2D art, I put them in yellow, and then the 3D art, I put them in orange, so I can make sure that how many, I can read it just by the colors. And whenever I I write down the task inside the inside the sticky note. If, for example, I am the person involved about, or like I would take this task and work on it, I would just take the sticky note from the to-do list and put it in the progress, and then write down my name on it, Abdullah, on the left corner. And then if I finish, I just take it from the in progress to put it into to verify. And then someone else would take this, write down their name. For example, let's say Muhammad, write down their name, and then this person would verify the ticket that I put, the task that I have finished. If it's working perfectly, they would take it to done. And then as a Scrum Master, they would review the progress of the stories into the done. Like if there's a lot to do, or would review the the in progress list, and then they would review, for example, if Abdullah keeps hogging all the tickets and keeping them in progress and does not deliver, that there is an issue or something that Abdullah needs helps with. So this is the role of the Scrum Master. And then, for example, to verify if, let's say Muhammad have looked into the tickets and found it buggy, Muhammad can write behind the sticky note what is the issue, and then bring it back to the to-do list. Okay, so things we keep in backlog, something similar to this: create basic player movement controls, walk, run, and jump, for example. Design the layout of the first level, for example. Design main menu, layout, and buttons. So I'll take this ticket, put it here, add multiple features, multiple elements from different perspective, audio development, art, 3D, animation, whatever. I'll add all the features, then put them in the to-do list after confirming with the team what we should do. Put them here, and then the team would start the sprint until these all features are done. Prioritizing feature. Not all the features that we like should be developed. Do you agree? I believe we agree. There is features that we must have. There is features that we should have. There is features that nice to have, but it's not essential. For example, like maybe effects. Maybe effects could be a must have. And maybe things that does not correspond to our current milestone. For example, the first milestone, core mechanics. But there is features that we could have, but it's not very important. And then there is features that we won't have. So we take them and we put them into won't have, because it's either not important or because it's, for example, would make us into a worst situation instead of good situation, or will take a lot of time. In that, we better do a lot of things instead of just hustling into one thing. So yeah, identify, these are some kind of suggestion. Identify essential features that align with the game core vision. What is the essential features? Consider features that deliver the most value instead of just a nice to have. Evaluate the technical complexity and resources required for each feature. And then you would have, for example, let's say all the core features, and then if there is a complexity, you would understand how is the complexity. For us, we write down on every ticket the complexity, like it takes 1, 2 days, 3 days, or 5 hours, 3 hours. We write it down so we understand that this feature is kind of complex or this feature is kind of easy to develop. And when we take it to the backlog, we take the features corresponding to these time, and then we select these features corresponding to the complexity and the sprint. Rank the feature based on their impact on gameplay and players, of course. Pop. We could put them in either quarter. Consult with stakeholders. Stakeholders are people who are gonna play, people who are gonna purchase. You could have people from, let's say, PlayStation or from Xbox. You could have people from, let's say, publishers. You could bring people into your stakeholders and then interview them or consult with them every now and then or every sprint if you can, and then get their feedback as soon as possible. Create a priority order that guides development and feature implementation. This is kind of for you to understand whenever you get a feature, you'd understand where you should put it. Be ready to adjust priorities as the project evolves or new insights. So the features that was at a certain time could change to must have. So the process. Okay, so these are the things that we consider before going to the meeting or before we start sprints. The sprint planning. When we start the sprint, input, product backlog, capacity, current product status and constraints, and then sprint planning, what and how, and then the output, sprint goal and sprint backlog, the tasks. Choose a set of time frame for a focused development. So for me and my team, we choose that usually 2 weeks. We finish everything in 2 weeks, and we evaluate our work at every end of sprint, and then we understand that this was too little for us. We could have delivered more. This was too much for us, and we understand picking up a good amount of tasks. So we understand from the time frame. We understand our time frame and delivery. Gather the development team, scrum master and product owner. These are the essential people that you need to have in your team. It could be as well a one person, but they need to understand the role of each person. Review the prioritize items in the product backlog. Of course, as we say, choose what is the priority for you. Decide which backlog item will be worked on during the sprint. Break down selected items into smaller tasks. This is very crucial for game development. Make sure that it's clear for your developers which is which and what are the things that you need to develop. Estimate the time and effort required for each task. As we mentioned earlier, set a clear goal for what the team aims to accomplish in the sprint. Plan how the team will collaborate and communicate during the sprint. An outcome, a well-defined plan for upcoming development work. So you need to have a goal. At the end, for example, at the end of the sprint, I will have the core mechanics all working. Core mechanics include walking, running, jumping, and the thing including like if you press left with a turn, if you aim and then you press left, what would happen? These kind of small feature, it could be distributed into tasks and then picked up during the development. And the sprint planning, we do it once every sprint. The daily stand-up meeting, as it state, a daily meeting, 15 minutes per day. It's a short daily meeting. I love the daily meeting because it just put people in the mind of setting themselves into working. They know what they're going to do before doing anything. So they would say, I will do 1, 2, and 3. So they don't need to ask you at any point, what do you want me to do? Because they know already what they are doing. So it's stand up usually 15 minutes. Team members stand to keep it brief, so you don't set up a meeting or a call for 1 hour, just like a small one, fast, and commit to the 15 minutes. Each member share 3 things, as we have mentioned earlier: what they did yesterday, what they're planning to do today, and any obstacles. So they say it, jump to the next one. Facilitate quick updates and status check. Identify roadblocks for quick resolutions. Keep the team aligned and informed. Promote transparency and accountability, because people are gonna hear everyone talking. They need to deliver as well. It's just gonna have like this kind of positive influence on the team, and people need to deliver and accountable for the task that they have picked, because other people are depending on them. Focus on progress and collaboration, because like tickets are jumping from to do to in progress, from in progress to done. People, this module is focused on to shift all the tickets from here to the done, and helps adopt plans based on real-time information. Okay, so sprint review, as we have mentioned a couple of times till now, it's meeting at the end of the sprint. Development team demonstrate completed work. It needs to be completed. It's not just work on progress. You need to finish something, a feature, finish the prototype of a feature. Stakeholders provide feedback and ask questions. Showcases the delivered product increment. Highlights accomplishment and improvement. Encourages collaboration and open dialogue, and validate progress against sprint goals. Identify potential changes or adjustments. Enable continuous improvement and learning, as well as essential for aligning the development with stakeholders' expectations. So if the stakeholders would tell you this is, for example, the stakeholders would tell you this, the art is very bad, you would understand that the stakeholders, all they care about is art. For example, if the player tell you that the game mechanics is not responding very well, then you would know that there is a problem with the game mechanics. You could ask them as much questions as you can take, and then focus on fixing these problems. Following the sprint review, you will have, you and your team, a retrospective meeting after the sprint review and before the next sprint planning. It's just kind of a closing meeting with you and your team. It would focus on the progress, the process, collaboration, and performance. You need to improve these, so you just discuss with your team how to improve. Discuss what went well during the sprint, positive. Of course, discuss things to improve and the challenges, the negatives. Of course, you need to be clear. People need to be clear to each other to improve the goal of this meeting, to improve the process, and then brainstorm actionable steps to enhance teamwork. So if there is things that was, for example, tasks that should have been delivered by person A, but person A left it for the last minute, which impacted the whole team and the delivery was very bad. People should kind of work together in order for them to fix it. What was the problem and how this could be fixed, as well as reflect on how to adopt and refine the process. Because this process is actually work in progress. You might know that, for example, the stories that you have defined require things from other people, and people were working at the same time as other people. For example, developers would like to work on the character, and the character developers, designers are working on it at the same time. So there is kind of clash of the work. Two people are working on the same task, and how can you enhance it? And you could define or design your way in order for it to work with your team. Encourage open communication and feedback, of course. Support a culture of continuous learning, and results in a process improvement for the next sprint, and drives the team growth and increase efficiently over time. I would like with you guys to discuss kind of an example of a game that we could work together, and then look into how we would define the backlog for this game. It's an open discussion for now. If you'd like to discuss with me.
By the way, we are in the chat at the moment. If you'd like anyone to open their mics, just let me know.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
then chat, text
Yeah.
and stuff. So yeah, does anyone have a game they'd like to look at?
It doesn't need to be a story game, of course. Any type of game could be implemented. It's okay. So okay. If we are looking into League of Legends, for example, okay. So if we are looking into League of Legends, it's actually a large game that have been, I think, exceeded like 1,000 sprints in development. One of the things that we can see, it's not a project that was developed once and delivered once. It's actually continuous updates, and this is how large teams work. Each team would take a feature, and then they would deliver it, for example, in a bi-weekly or monthly progress. So people are just continuously developing new character, new actions, new features in the on the servers, and new abilities, fixes, bugs, and these kind of things. For example, let's assume that we are in the middle of development or in the middle of the project. Should we go in the middle or should we start? Okay, very nice question, Yara. Uh, um, Yara's asking how would those teams communicate and stay sync in their work. For the team, all of them they use project management softwares, including my one of choice. The one that I use is ClickUps. um, and some of them use Trello. It all uses the same concept where we could define backlogs, or you can take stories and you can define tasks and assign it to people, and then they would have it in their emails. Personally, I use ClickUp, which uses the same way. I define the game, I define the concept, and then take tasks, assign it to people, or make people take the task that they would like to develop, and then they take it. How people, as we mentioned, it's across teams. So, for example, let's assume I pick something from the bug or a bug that is in the backlog or the log. I take the bug and try to fix it. Of course, they use this is as a board, as a Scrum board. I take the log and I put it, and I assign myself as the fixer, and then I would go into my GitHub account or the GitHub account of the organization. I pick up the bug that have been reported by the people, and then I try to create, for example, create black box or white box operations, look into the feature, try to test the feature, test the bug, and see what is causing this bug to happen, and then try to propose a fix in a different branch. And then I put the ticket, and then someone else take it from to be reviewed, and then check and test it. Put like kind of a feature testing software to test if the feature is correct, or the bug have been fixed in a correct way, and then it would be pushed. If this is working fine, it would be pushed back again to the main branch. Okay, so just before we go into questions, let's say we are trying to recreate Mario, okay, for a weekend. We are going to define it. For example, we want to create a side scroller, and then we have the character that goes across, reaching to a goal to save the queen. And then this is the main game concept. And then we would say, We put in the backlog, create the main mechanics for Mario, and then create the main menu, for example, and then create the level that Mario is going to work on. So these are 3 sprints that we could look into. Let's say we are working on Mario himself, and then there is the design of Mario. So we could define different tasks. Now we took one feature from the product and put it into the stories, and then we could define the tasks. Design Mario. Mario should not exceed, let's say, 24 pixels in height, 16 pixel in width, or this should be defined by the game designers. Uh, the jump by the game designer as well. The game designer would design these, like the jump should be, um, let's say 40 pixels. If and then let's define features. So these information the developers could take and then put them into, for example, let's make it a cube. Or the developers usually use cubes or circles or anything possible they find. So they make the jump. When you jump, maybe they would say like there's an action that happens, like for example he goes down and then jump. So the developer would concentrate on the jump. For example, if you would like to deliver, you could add another task for after the jump you would deliver the double jump. And then there is like kind of limitation that the designer need to develop. When I say a designer, I mean a game designer. I don't mean a game artist. A game designer who's responsible about developing the mechanics, not in the sense of programming it, developing by stating that, for example, the double jump could take Mario to, let's say, 45 pixels on, and then boxes or these kind of clue boxes should be like, let's assume 32, and then each jump of Mario could make Mario jump above them, but if he's underneath the box it would hit. You could add the hitting part as a task, but we defined that at the end of the sprint, Mario should be completed, should be able to walk. If you press right to walk, and then the camera would follow. And if you go back, you cannot, for example, you cannot go back and the camera won't follow. So this is kind of a feature that the developers need to be aware and need to develop it. For example, and these are the things that the team would discuss. If there is a game designer, the game designer and the team, the artist would tell you, no, it's not possible, or yes, it's possible. The developer would tell you, this is nice. So each one of them would have their opinion about the game design. But at every sprint, you need to define these things. For example, jump. Mario would be able, for example, the only weapon that Mario would have is jumping at the beginning. If you jump on that little mushroom, they would break it or they would kill it. And then there's a feature, the mushroom itself. As a mushroom, I need to move to the right or left endlessly, for example. So that's the easiest use case, but it was very calculated. Something that was told to me by one of the original Mario developers. He participated in the development, and he told me they spent 85% of their time developing the core mechanics of Mario, the original one, Mario Brothers. 85% of the time, because it was they needed to calculate everything and they needed to make sure that the game is flawless. And one of the interesting things that I've listened from him, that they kept Mario on the left and then there is a white space, just to indicate to people that if you press right, you can walk. So this is the first tutorial without telling people press right. They just made it obvious. You need to take him to here. So it was one of the super games that actually have been developed. Um, yeah. Okay. Um, so I would like you guys, if you can, tell me some of the benefits of Scrum methodology that you see so far. Efficiency, correct? Nice, Ashraf. locate bugs easier. You would get bugs easier. Exactly. At the end of every sprint, you would understand bugs and you would understand the feedback from the people. Coordination, excellent, Kareem. You would hear from different people and you would always stay updated about the project and everyone would stay updated. Look, I'm practicing. Nice. A fresh view of some things. Excellent. Yes, correct. You would always see things differently because you're developing new perspective and opinions. Of course, you should bring these people and the fresh minds and people you need in your circle in the sprint review. And time management, of course. One of the most important thing, to be honest, is delivery. If you develop the best game but you don't deliver, it's just another game in the shelf, like another project in Unity Hub. If I show you how many projects I have in Unity Hub, some of them are finished, some of them are not. But yeah, you don't want to wind up with the hundreds of projects in Unity Hub or other hubs on the shelf. But you need to deliver. If you have a project that you need to deliver, you need to plan it right and work on it. A lot of features and a lot of benefits comes from Agile Scrum in game development. Yeah, and I can tell you some of them. I have actually written some of them here. Okay. I cannot see it. It's okay. Yes. It include adaptability, scope creep. Oh my god, this is very important. Yeah, you don't want to wind up in a way that you don't you find things which is not accounted for or things that you just like to develop and continue developing. Frequent feedback, transparency, collaboration, prioritization, reduce risk, early delivery, and you would be understanding what's going on. Efficiency, continuous improvement, of course. Continuous improvement. There is goals at every 2 weeks or 4 weeks. Player centric, of course. Iterative prototyping, clear goals. You know what you are developing. Flexibility. If something came up in the middle, you could tell people, let's cancel it. Let's change it. Easy. Stakeholder involvement. The real players are involved in the development, so it's good. Motivated team, because like in every scope you are involving them, they do the decisions and they would be very motivative. Higher quality, because you find the bugs, as Yara mentioned, you find the bugs as early and then develop fix it. And market responsiveness, this would come, of course, if for example you deliver the game, you deliver the alpha and you got some comments and then you change, people would appreciate you for this innovation. You would be able to create, add, try new things, because it's just like a 2 weeks. You could try something that you thought it might be fun and you would like to develop it, you could try it, and then if it's nice, people would be impressed by it. And better risk management, because if something doesn't work, you could just remove it. It's a 2 week work rather than a 1 or 2 years work. Measurable progress, you could work and see the like on by understanding your progress, you would understand how to evaluate the end of the project. Do you have any questions so far? I hope this was clear. Please, please.
Hello, how are you?
Hello, Yara.
Thank you again for the lecture. It was frankly really, really interesting.
Thank you.
The management tips. I have a question, a bit of personal experience, not necessarily in just game design, but in things in general. Let's say you're working on a project. Let's say it's a game, a simple scroller. Let's say Mario, and you're on a tight schedule, and you don't have as much time as you were expecting to do the things you wanted to do. And you need to compromise, you need to cut down on something. Do you cut down on you cancel some levels, like for example you were planning on having 5 levels, you have 3 instead? Or do you keep those 5 levels but you don't do as many graphics as you were hoping, or not as many animations, or you reduce the amount of characters you need to create, or the complexity of the levels? Which do you think is better, 3 well-developed levels or 5 less developed levels?
Okay.
Or any other solution?
So let's assume we are in a hackathon, okay? In hackathons, we always have like the tightest time in the world, correct? It's a 3 days hackathon that you need to develop. So you need to plan for delivery. You need to make sure that you are developing the things that matter to whom, not me, not you, to the stakeholders, the players. For example, if a hackathon, you need to make sure that you develop the things that matters to the judges. For a game, for example, you have a delivery. It needs to make the things that matters to them, the most important things that matter to them, that takes 90% of their most important thing. For example, I would say for me, for example, personally, as a technical lead, I would tell you that the core mechanic is very important. If the core mechanic is good, the other things could go. For example, I'm not going to ask you to develop levels. 1 level is more than enough to prove to me that this is a prototype, that this is a work in progress. For example, to the players, it could be art, it could be the mechanics, it could be, for example, a certain feature. So you need to understand your client, and then you need, in the prioritization, before you start developing. And I know sometimes when you see that we are already late and we need to finish it as soon as possible, we forget to plan. So we pick up things, the last thing on hand, the most closest thing. Someone would tell you like, this is very important, you just go inside and immediately and try to do it as soon as possible to finish. But this is not the right way, because maybe this person prioritized this thing, but it's not the right thing to be prioritized, and not the right thing. If you, as they say, if you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. So if you don't have a plan, you're not doing the right thing. It might work, but it's not working all the time. For example, in my case, I'm gonna define the tasks. For example, the things that I need to develop, level 1, level 2, level 3, core mechanics, audio system, camera movement, whatever, I'm gonna put them in the features, and then I'm gonna define each one of them, of course, and then prioritize them, as we have mentioned earlier. Prioritize them, which one is must for my users, which one is must, which one should, which one could, or which one won't. Like make sure that you develop the must before you develop the shoulds, and as well as the could and want. So there's things that is nice. For example, in my case, let's say if level 1 can showcase, for example, like if you are meeting an investor for your game, they don't need to see the whole game, because they're going to invest in developing the whole game, but you want to impress them by the mechanics, for example, or you want to impress them by the art. So put the concentration of the team into one thing. or on multiple things that would not distract them, would give them 100% quality. However, if you would like to develop the game, the full game, in order for you to develop everything, then develop multiple episodes to tell them. If the stakeholder would not check it out, they would like to see multiple things or more. So these are the two different approaches to do kind of horizontal and vertical. I tend to like the vertical one, to develop one thing or multiple things in the perfect manner instead of developing everything in one time. However, it works. Both of them works. Correct. Any other question?
We did have a few questions in the chat from before, so if you'd like, I can read them for you.
Yes, please.
Okay, so the
I-
first one, what's the difference between concept design and game planning? This was on one of your first slides.
Concept design. Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Uh,
That's right. If it's more to the back. No, it was the one with all the circle. Yeah, one more. One more. One more. Okay, it was like the second slide, I think. Yeah, very far.
Sec-
Yeah. No, that's the one. Yeah. Okay. One more to the front.
Okay.
Yes.
Conceptual analysis and game design. Conceptual analysis is kind of the game design, like the game mechanics, because like you're analyzing or you're designing how the game should work. Game planning in the project planning perspective, like how you're going to develop it and how to set up the milestones, which is kind of taking the whole development and put it into the game planning. As like in the Scrum, you would plan, design, develop, plan, develop, test, and then review. Plan, design, develop, review, plan, design until delivery. And sometimes after review, just take it to delivery, put it as a new feature, as they say, new bugs, new features.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And the concept design is basically the part after
Yeah.
so we planned out what the game is gonna be like. So let's say, for example, since we're using the Mario example, game planning is more like I want to make a game about a guy that jumps on mushrooms, whereas concept design is kind of like not just talking about it, but kind of like having a plan or like having a prototype of sorts, or is it different?
The concept design is kind of like looking deep into before the development. It's actually concept design. This means in this prototype, it means that the art part. It doesn't mean the mechanics. In this prototype, it's actually just kind of an illustration of how the game move, like how the development, some different parts, which is very important in every game development.
Okay, cool. Thank you. And one more question, which is over here, which is about the difference between the Scrum Master and the main manager and the project owner.
Yeah.
Meaning, what are the roles of the project owner and the Scrum Master, and where do they differ? And do they fight often?
Yeah, of course, fighting is recommended. Okay, so Scrum Master is, as we mentioned, it's his role involves managing the Scrum meetings as well as monitoring the progress. And then there is like something that we do often. We just calculate how many closed tickets every day, and then we monitor the progress, if the progress is going up or going down, and then we mention that in the retrospective meeting. So this is the role of the Scrum Master. The product manager or the product owner, who is the person who's writing what is the features, what is the, as well, for example, like we meet for the sprint planning, we define the feature. I would like to have this character fly. I would like to do this. In the beginning, we do this. So these are kind of the features that we'd like to have. And then we prioritize these features. The product owner would write down, would take the features, would keep people focused on the vision of the game. Someone else, like in the middle of the game, someone would tell you, no, we could make it like Netflix. No, this is not the game. We're trying to make Mario. Focus on whatever you would like to develop, not whatever you believe is nice. I know Netflix is nice as well, but we're not trying to develop that now. So the product owner would take these tickets, would transfer them to stories to make sure that the product is in the right place, as well as bring the stakeholders and make them review and balance and make sure that this is happening. Okay. How? Okay.
Yes, just last question, I think.
Okay. How does all of this apply if you are working alone? It applies. It's kind of small. It doesn't need to be this much. In order for you to review the amount of time and test and monitoring your progress, it's nice. It's nice to do it this way. Define. It's just personal work. You define your the things that you'd like to develop. Put it like prioritize it, and then make sure that you tell yourself, for example, set up deadline. Let's say this week I would develop 1, 2, and 3, and then break it down into small features, and then tell yourself that I'm going to develop 1, 2, and 3 today, and then develop it. And if there is like extra time, take 1 tickets and put it for yourself. And the good part, you would feel rewarded at the end of the day when you see a lot of tickets have been converted from the to do until to the done. You would just, I think, ignore the review part because like you're developing it yourself, you don't need to Q&A. But yeah, it's just gonna feel good for you because like you have delivered something in a week or 2 weeks, and as well as you're gonna be happy about yourself. You're delivering, you're submitting your assignments and doing the thing that you like. And if things, for example, try it with your cousins, nephews, friends, colleagues, and if they do the kind of sprint review, and then following the sprint review, write down your comments and then fix it. I hope this helped. You're welcome anytime. That's it. Do you have any other questions, guys? Thank you so much. What's my favorite color? Yellow, probably. Probably, I'm not sure. So these are some additional resources that you might, if you'd like to get to know Scrum even further. There's the book called Agile Game Development by Clinton Keith, which is a very nice book. And then there is Scrum, The Art of Doing Twice the Work in Half the Time by Jeff. These are 2 books that you could review and read more. People are taking in the industry, people are taking certifications for Scrum Master and others. And these are very valuable certification in the industry. Some companies kind of like to have developers or Scrum Masters or Scrum experts. It's kind of a certification similar to the PMP, project management. I think PMI as well offer these. Yeah, these are things to highlight. In the gaming industry, they call the Scrum Master producer, and they called actually between the Scrum Master and the product owner, they call them producers. These are the people that make the game happen. These are the people who make sure that your work is being delivered. Make sure that the publishers knows about your game, and it's a very valuable role. Project management is very essential for games because it's large projects that bring a lot of technologies. So this is something essential to learn in game development in order for you to deliver. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Ishraf.
So much. Honestly, this was wonderful. Yes, I was about to ask you to share your socials with us. Honestly, it was wonderful. I know I had a few questions that I passed through with everyone else, so I appreciate you answering them. And yeah, we will speak soon. Thank you everyone for attending. Thank you again, Abdullah, for this wonderful session.
Anytime.
And see you all soon. يعطيكم العافية.
Ciao.
باي باي.
Bye bye.